Hello and welcome friends, Frenzy here bringing you some Kerbal Space Program. This video is all about adding hype fuel to the hype train or hype plane or hype rocket or whatever you want to call it for Kerbal Space Program 1.0 coming out Monday. That's April 27th, that's tomorrow. I'm so excited, I'm glad I'm done with college because needless to say, I will be spending all my time playing that game, so good that I'm done, that I'll be graduating, because it's going to consume my life for a little while. And I'm excited for that, and I thought I would use this just to kind of get you guys hyped up, because I'm freaking hyped up about Kerbal Space Program, in case you couldn't tell. Just super excited for what's to come. And so I thought I would just kind of do a top 5 things I'm most excited for. I've been watching almost maybe too much of the Twitch TV coverage of Kerbal Space Program 1.0. In case you didn't know, KSP TV right now, I think it's almost 48 hours straight of Kerbal Space Program 1.0, and everybody's been showing off some really cool stuff. Scott Manley's been on there. Just a lot of good KSP people have been up on there. I love that. I'm really excited about that. So go check it out, KSP TV. I highly recommend it so you can see for yourself 1.0. But just for me watching it, there's a ton of things I'm just pumped about. Honestly, it looks better than I ever would have even imagined it to be. So I am so pumped. And so we go through kind of my personal top 5 things I'm interested in. I would love to hear what your top 5 things are. Go ahead and comment in the comment section. Let me know what you're hyped for. Starting at number 5, really just kind of the random assortment of parts we're getting. For example, fuel cells. So these fuel cells actually consume liquid fuel for electrical charge. That's really cool. I'm sure people are going to do some really interesting things with that. And it's a really good thing, when you're kind of out there in the solar system, beyond Duna, and it's harder to get that electric charge, for probes and things like that. And so I think that'll be an incredible way to really take advantage of that as we fly in here, just kind of zooming around. Whee! So I'm excited about that. There's going to be bigger wing parts. There's going to be new IVAs as we kind of jump into here, looking at this IVA, for various parts, the Mark III cockpit, as well as just a number of different parts. Okay. So I'm really excited. They look beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I believe PorkJet's done most of the work for that. New landing gears that just look so cool that I'm incredibly excited for as well. So we have a lot of new things coming, a lot of little new parts. I really can't list them all just because I think they said there's 35 new parts total, which is a lot for a release. I don't know if there's ever been that many new parts in a release. Obviously 1.0 is big, and I'm excited for it. So that's just kind of my number 5, just all the incredible amounts of parts. Number 4, I am really excited for the polish, like all the polish things they've shown. For example, just one thing that I think is really cool. As somebody who makes YouTube videos, this is a really good thing. There's like a warp to morning feature. Basically, you can, I think, when you're kind of sitting at the KSC, you can actually go ahead and warp to morning. So there's just a button that does it straight away. I think this is probably going to be my favorite thing I saw. There's a warp to feature. And if you've used Kerbal Alarm Clock, there's kind of been a feature like that. But you can warp anywhere just by clicking on anywhere in your orbit, and it does it like so seamlessly that it's just beautiful. It's smooth. It transitions well. There's no kind of like lag or stuttering, which could sometimes be an issue with mods and things like that. So I think that's going to be amazing. There's like improved camera, so obviously if you saw my improved chase camera video, it's going to be kind of similar to that, but it looked very smooth, very clean. Not surprisingly, the devs know what they're doing. And they get some great inspiration from some of those modders. I think that's kind of what I'm excited for. All that cool polish, being able to see kind of like thumbnails of your vehicles, what your vehicle actually looks like after you fly it once was really cool. I'm excited for that. So I think there's just a lot of really cool things I'm excited about. In case you couldn't tell, I'm super hyped. And so number 3, that brings me to number 3, and this could easily be number 1 because I think this... To be honest, I think this will be a game changer for Kerbal Space Program. I think this is really going to change things. Is a resource system. So in case you didn't know, there's going to be a resource system that we can actually go to various planets, scan them, and the way you actually scan them, Rover Dude was explaining it, who's made these wonderful, this new kind of like parts and features, resource, mining and things like that. So he was in the Twitch channel explaining how it works, and basically, you go out and you have these incredible things where you're, basically you have to scan. You get into like a portal orbit. You have to be at a certain height, and you do like an orbital scan. This kind of gives you kind of a general overlaying of like what the planet actually has in terms of resources, and then you have to. He suggests like taking a rover, so making a rover is actually really useful, and going out and using like a surface sample to get much more detailed, accurate kind of records, or I guess resource, what that resource of that's actually in the ground, which is called ore. We know that now. What's actually specifically there, so that's really cool. Getting to use rovers, adding some functionality for that, I think is pretty incredible. So that'll be cool, and then you can use a narrowband scanner to take a step farther when you're actually trying to land to pinpoint where exactly you want to put your craft down. So I think that's absolutely incredible. Something I am super excited for, and I can't wait to see what people do. People that are way more creative and inventive than I am, making return missions, I wouldn't say easier, but it gives you an option other than just, having to build kind of some really big crafts and just kind of bulky things and things like that. You can get a little bit of creative if you're smart. You can use some of those resources to your advantage. I think I'm just going to buzz the tower here. So I'm really excited for that. Number 2, oh man, this was hard for me I had to battle for between 2 and 1. But I'm going to say Aerodynamics, number 2. It looks amazing. And I love FAR, and I've used FAR in pretty much all my mod overview videos just because, it's great. It's essential. It makes the aerodynamics so much better, and I'm flying in stock right now. This is my actual Steam game of stock. So this is the one that's waiting for 1.0 to update, and you can see I'm just using stock aerodynamics, and I've been going full throttle this entire time, and I can only go 200 or so meters a second. So there's almost like a cap on how fast you can go, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But with new aerodynamics, people were blowing up, meters off the runway because they were going so incredibly fast. That's kind of been one of the issues with Kerbal Space Program. Not that it was necessarily a knock. It was just, it was kind of an old aerodynamic system from when the game kind of first released that just hadn't really been updated. So it's very soupy. Like, it feels, that's what it's always been kind of referred to, down here in the atmosphere. It feels like you're flying through soup, which it does. You can see if you look down here at my kind of rolling yaw, I'm trying to move as hard as I possibly can, and it's thick. It feels thick. It feels, just tough, and so it doesn't feel good. But the new aerodynamic system, I probably wouldn't need FAR anymore. Honestly, as much as I love that mod, I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll do something cool with FAR, but it looks incredible. There's aero brakes. There's drag that's actually simulated properly. So there's all these cool things, and it just looks brilliant. And I'm so excited for that. I've never been necessarily huge on space planes, partially because of some of those issues, but I'm pretty excited for it. So I'm definitely going to be doing more space planes, more SSTOs, even more just planes. Maybe coming up with some creative things for planes. So that's kind of why I'm flying this plane around, because aerodynamics are huge, and that's my number 2. And finally, my number 1 thing that I'm excited for Kerbal Space Program 1.0, I think it seems necessarily kind of small, but I think it's really big, and that's reentry mechanics. So there's actual, similar to the mod, Deadly Reentry, which I covered. It's going to be pretty similar to that, so I'm really excited for it. It's such a huge mechanic that I think gets underlooked sometimes. That it's not necessarily something that you think about in the sense, what you're going to be thinking about when you're coming back in from the moon and you're coming in really fast, and you have to really think about, when I'm coming back from, Duna or other planets, how fast am I going to be coming in? Now I have to think about potentially adding, retro rockets or things to slow me down that I have to kind of think about. That I didn't really have to think about. I could just come in as fast as I want, deploy my parachute, not have to worry about it, and it was fine. And now we do have to worry about that, and I think that's really going to add some depth to the game. It just looked cool when people are coming in. They have, I think, new sounds, if I'm not mistaken, for reentering the atmosphere, as well as, and this kind of goes towards like the polish and things they've added, camera shake, where if you come in, really hot and that camera's shaking, it feels like, ooh man, it just feels like you're in there, you're in the cockpit seat, and so it's really incredible, something that I am extremely excited for. And so I think that's probably my number one thing that I'm excited for. It's kind of that deadly reentry, kind of combined with the aerodynamics as well. It's almost 1 and 2 are kind of interchangeable to me, but I'm so pumped for it. And there's just so much more of the things I haven't even talked about. Of course, all the new parts, all the work that's been into it, all the bugs that have been squashed, all the polish. Man, I'm just so excited for it. I can't say enough about it. And I really want to give a big thanks to Squad, the developers, and all the wonderful guys they have over there, all the testers and experimental guys who've been working on this thing pretty much non-stop over these past few weeks. So I want to give them some credit for really, this is probably, I'd have to say this is probably my favorite game of all time. I have an incredible amount of Steam hours, which does not factor in all the hours I've played through multiple installs. So it's wonderful. I'm so excited for 1.0, and you can look forward to, I'm going to be doing a 1.0 kind of stock series that you're really just kind of testing the gameplay mechanics, and then I'm going to do kind of a 1.0, I guess, series, like a legit series, a longer series, which I have not done yet, and I'm really excited to do. I'm going to wait for some mods, because I do want to get some mods in there. As much as I think the actual kind of gameplay has been improved, I would like to get some mods in there too, so looking forward to doing that, and I hope you're looking forward to it. Again, in the comments section, go ahead, tell me what you're looking forward to, what you're looking forward to most for 1.0. So I'm really excited for that as we come in for a nice touchdown here. And if you enjoyed my ramblings about 1.0, go ahead and tap that like button. I'd really appreciate it. If you'd like to see more stuff upcoming for Kerbal Space Program 1.0, go ahead and subscribe. Tell your friends too. I'd really appreciate that. And finally, I will see you next time. Kerbal 1.0.